Hello world, this is Kimberly and Connor Tracy over here at Big Red SEO. Thanks for tuning in, either the live or the replay. Connor had a little bit of technical difficulty. It's okay though. We're using our old traditional webcam versus all the cool software that we had. We're also in a new location, meaning this is Connor's office space. So we have more space to be able to like stretch out if we need to, right? We're not like crunched in one little table. But first, hello. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Hello.
We're coming to you from Omaha, Nebraska. For those that are not familiar with us, that are finding us either on Facebook or YouTube or a couple of the other magical places Connor places different videos and snippets. But today we actually wanted to open the agenda for Ask Us Anything, right? So we've been doing this gig for a long time, and whether it's marketing, business, life, being a married couple working together, just having our own goals and our own intentions, a lot of times people are very curious about what is the stuff that goes on behind the scenes of Big Red SEO, right? Or what needs to happen when it comes down to business as well as marketing, right? And so we actually wanted to open the agenda today for some frequently asked questions or just questions in general, right? Mm-hmm. And to start off, I actually had a prospect ask 2 weeks ago. They're working a full-time gig, right? And they're looking to launch something part-time. So they were like, how do we like go through the transition of being able mindset being one thing full-time and then also part-time being over and trying to grow this other business, right? So I thought that we would actually start with that feedback because it happens a lot. Like some people will jump into the deep end of starting a business. Mm-hmm. I personally did it myself. Connor did it himself multiple times, right? But that's not necessarily set up for everybody. That's not ideal for everybody.
It's not the recommended way to do it.
I don't know if I would say that. I don't know if I would say recommended not, right?
From traditional traditional methods, it's not the recommended way to do it.
Yeah.
From a entrepreneur, go-getter kind of attitude, yeah, jump in full feet and go at it.
I could say from my personal area, when we started Big Red SEO, I actually jumped in both feet. And I don't know if you probably remember this, right? So I quit my corporate job, I think it was June 3rd. And then we got married June 25th, June 26th. Like we mess up our marriage date all the time, right? But either way, I got married that same month and I actually took a couple weeks sabbatical. So I actually didn't work. We already like had Big Red SEO, like the strategy and how we were going to build out the business already set and done. But I actually took a couple weeks off where I did nothing but read books and go for walks and kind of like it was the time I needed to separate into one into the other. And I think that was the summer. I ran before in my 20s, but I think that was the summer I got into running too, mm-hmm. where I would just go for a run. And then I learned how to do content creation. So I'd start writing blog articles and started just kind of practicing and figuring out what is it that is in SEO and how do you strengthen that muscle, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But that's not for everybody, right? So whenever we did our vows, it was like for sickness and for health and for rich and for poor. And I literally looked at Connor and I was like, yes, definitely the poor, because at that point he had a business and he was running it, but I was launching Big Red SEO, right? And like, we didn't know where the stars were going to align. I always knew that I could sell something. And then there was this new industry that I was learning from the SEO. I had experience in the web design already from school, but yeah, some people like to jump in full deep. Other people like to just take steps. And I don't think that there's a right or wrong. I think you just got to check in. Do you have a family? Do you not have a family? Do you have obligations? What is the thing? And then more times than not, we actually have people come to us that they just get fed up. That's why I left corporate. Like it was, I just was fed up and there was a line in the sand. And I remember calling you and you were like, so are you done? And I was like, yes. And then he literally said, good, go book yourself an hour massage. So literally when I made the decision of, I'm going to quit. I don't know the timeline, but then adding the self-care right after making that decision, like by far changed my entire life, if that mm-hmm. makes sense. So a little bit more personal than intended. But the main reason why we wanted to dive into this question of, do you do it full-time, part-time? How do you go about doing it? We definitely want to provide some guidance and some feedback. So really quickly to start, can you guys see us? I know that's kind of like one of the common questions we constantly keep asking people in our Facebook Lives. I just want to make sure that we're up and running because for whatever reason, mine's not letting me connect.
So do you remember, was it last week?
I don't know.
I think
It's
it was
all
last week.
running together.
So I think it was last week I was complaining that I tried, or Facebook made me try the
Jeremy's
producer.
here. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy.
Thanks for tuning in, bud.
So Facebook made me try the go live producer thing, and I was complaining, I'll not use this. I'm going to go back to the regular live system because at least that worked.
Yeah.
And we timed out in the middle of it last week and everything else. Well, this week when we went to go set up and get in, and that other option is no longer available, everybody is now forced into the new system. And I had tested my video cameras before we started. Everything worked fine.
Yeah.
I readjusted the audio because the audio track was off a little bit last week. So I've adjusted that and went to go live, and the camera gives a blank screen. I don't know why.
Yeah, he'll troubleshoot it later, but we did start. We have a new location. We're trying to set everything up so everything's streamlined.
I need a new camera. Kim,
No,
I need a new camera.
need a new camera. You
I need
literally
another-
just got one. No.
If you have a Sony a6100, I would like it.
No.
I will
No.
trade you the cameras that I have.
No,
About that.
no, it's
No?
not. No, you just got your toy. You need to keep your toy. So basically, to bring back that question, do you, like, when you're wanting to start something, do you go full time or part time? I think everybody has to turn internally and say, what are you the most comfortable with, right? And what I mean by that is, there's going to be a level of an unknown when you're launching a business, right? There's going to be an excitement part, but then there's definitely going to be an unknown part. But for you, figure out what your obligation is. There's some individuals that work really, really well in having a strategy of within the next 6 months, I'm going to leave corporate, and they hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
My only thing about timeframes with this, guys, is that you need to make sure that you don't mentally check out and you don't go into autopilot. So growing a business, starting a business, launching a business, it's not the easiest journey out there, right? There is work that has to be done. And a lot of it, believe it or not, has to do with the mental mindset, right? Like, it has to do with not just producing the work and adding value and knowledge, but it also has to do with what are you doing every single day to move the business forward, as well as where are you breaking through the glass ceilings of anything that you've experienced, whether it's personal, mental, physical, emotional, and all that jazz.
And not just even when you're looking at starting a new business,
Yeah.
but when you're looking at selling the business and you're maybe moving into something else, there's still effort that's required before the business is sold. So when I sold my company, it was months of, will it sell, won't it sell? You know? And then there's
that was a pretty stressful journey. I'll be honest, guys.
Yeah.
As a person that owns a different business that works, he was working for me at the time. He's still working for me, as well as being in that threshold of, is it going to sell? Is it not going to sell? Is it going to sell? Is it not going to sell? I don't do very good with in between. Whenever circles are not closed or things aren't tied up, my law of order is just like, let's figure this out. Now, with that caveat, I realize, like, you can't really predict a lot in life and business, right? My whole code of conduct is I show up, I do what I do it to the best that I can. Are there areas that I learn and I grow? Absolutely. Are there character building moments? For sure. I actually had one this week where I literally, y'all, fired myself from my desk and my computer and made myself walk away for an hour to 2 hours before I responded to an email that just was not very nice and kind that came to me, right? So there is situations where I have to, like, check myself and parent and make sure that I'm doing the right thing. But that was an interesting journey.
Yeah, and it's not just one that I've experienced. I've chatted with buddies of mine and stuff like that, and they too have gone down that same route of, are they selling? I had one gentleman who it took nearly a year before their business actually sold.
Yeah.
But you still have to operate your existing business as if it's never going to be sold, because if you take your foot off the gas pedal, you won't have the business coming in.
Yeah.
So you still got to show up every day, still got to work every day, and then
I'm super impressed. We have a lot of friends that own multiple businesses, right? And they do that. They'll go and they'll acquire a business. They'll go in and they'll fix stuff, right? They'll fix all the different stuff. Then they actually literally sell the business back, and it grows in profit, right? It grows in structure, and then they sell it. But they never take their foot off the gas the entire time of when they purchase, whenever they're fixing everything, and then whenever they sell it. And that's super cool to be able to watch that process happen.
And even just moving. You're moving from one building to another, and all the normal work still comes in that has to get done, and you still have to move. yeah, that can be a pain in the butt.
Right.
You still got to do it. So when I'm talking about all of that, it's still the same when you're launching a business. You've got all the different things that you have to do to launch the business.
Right.
And then it's full force into it. Now, you can launch your business on the side. Generally, that's going to take a little longer.
Yep.
But it is usually a safer bet for a lot of people. I'm not that safe bet guy.
Right. Yeah, you're kind of like all in. He's either all on black or all on red is the easiest way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for everybody tuning in. If you have a live question that you would like us to answer, feel free to put it down into the comments. It could pretty much be about anything. We're doing an open book today. In the meantime, to fill some time and space, we're kind of reviewing some common questions that we wind up having from different places and different prospects, if that makes sense. So to start, I would say, Conor, like when you are in the analytics and you're in the web design, this is one thing that people are always amazed at, is because you have the ability to be the technical and then also the creative, and you have the ability to have a conversation with people too.
Right.
So like, that's like not like, yes, you were born that way, as in the Lady Gaga, I was born this way, right? But then in addition to it, you weren't always that way. You were kind of more of a technical, not really have a conversation. So we have a lot of freelancers that follow us and or businesses that the individuals are in IT and tech. Do you have any recommendations on how they can strengthen the skill of communication or being able to have a casual conversation with people and not be so tech, right? Because there's usually like that tech, you know, the personality. It's like, it's all algorithm or what do you call it? Abbreviations and high technical something.
They keep talking about their BSD and things like that. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And you know, even I faced that. You know, I was at a cigar event 2 weeks ago, and the gentleman that I was sitting next to was talking about his pipe collection. Now, I've got a collection of pipes at the house also, passed down from my dad, from my grandfathers.
Yeah.
So they were big pipe smokers. So I've got that in my own collection of my own pipes. But he started talking about all these different things and all these little parts to it and different people and where they're made. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, uh-huh. And he goes, so what kind of pipes do you have? I'm like, it's brown and there's a black stem on it, you know, and I've got probably 50, 60 of them, but I don't know the history of these things.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing when you're talking with anybody on any level, that there has to be a commonality, but making sure you're both on the same level.
Right.
You know, if I start talking SEO tech and I start getting into the details, 90% of the people I talk to will not know what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, I have a handful of customers that I can have the more in-depth conversation with. Brent is one. You know, he's here on live chat every now and again.
What's up, man?
He's not here now.
Oh, that's like Connor's like false alarm. Thanks, Conor. Like, way to throw me under the bus there.
Good job.
Connor's gonna test who I like and who I do not prefer, right?
So every now and again he'll pop in, and I can have a more in-depth SEO conversation with him, or tests and things, experiments that we might be running.
Yeah.
Whereas we can't have that with some other customers.
Right.
So I think when you're starting out your business, making sure you have that common ground with people, that's of course a big part. But just don't be full geek on it. You know, even photographers are another one. You know, I use an f4 and there's an f1.4 aperture and blah blah blah. I'm like, I have an idea of what all that means, but I'm not a photographer, therefore I won't know what that is. So if you just keep your audience in mind as to what level they are, I think that.
Yeah, and I also think it helps to realize, like, at the end of the day, you can definitely have a skill and be an expert in an industry, right? But in most cases, you're also, if you own your own business for sure, you're going to have to be sales as well. You're going to have to be sales as well as marketing, right? And you have to literally meet people where they are and then figure out, okay, how do I get them to somewhat understand the technical aspects? So for you, I'm going to speak for him for a second. His job is to not only provide the knowledge and the data so he can say, yes, I can help you. But then in addition to it, he has to cookie crumb them to see where the return of investment is or why they should hire him in the first place. So it's one of those, we can say SEO works and we're going to just go and sell. But what we've always found is if we can give people knowledge and data to show, okay, this is what the industry is doing and this is what you have the ability to get to. This is where you can achieve. By the way, this is how we've been able to help. Here's the problem, solution. All of a sudden the conversation takes it at a whole new level versus saying, this is my package. This is what I do. Here's where it's at. And then almost like you want to try to avoid the aggressive sales. I realize aggressive sales works for places and people. There's a shit ton of movies out there that actually show it. Like we've just never done that. We actually take that off the bar. Now, it's not to say that if there's a sale that I don't do what needs to happen to close the sale. I'm for sure going to be there just because I like circles to be closed, as well as we really are excited to work with people. We want to get started and roll up our sleeves, right? But I think no matter what industry you're in, even if you're a mechanic, you can go and you can tell somebody about an engine of something. But if you say, hey, if you don't change your oil, your car is going to blow up, more than likely they're going to want to change their oil, right? But if you go and say synthetic, and it's equal measurements of my eyes are going to glaze over. I'm going to be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, right? Like, I have no idea how much horsepower is in my car. Like, I have people do things for me, right? So
Kim has people do things.
I think it's important to like make sure that you can speak whatever the lingo is, no matter what industry you're in. And it's one of those things we can geek out. Like when we find somebody that has that we coin it as enough to be dangerous. They know SEO and pay-per-click and web design enough to be dangerous, right? They still hire us for the advanced stuff. We can geek out and have like a crazy conversation, right? But if somebody is brand new starting a business and they don't know marketing, we're not going to have the same conversation. Like we call it fire hosing. You can literally fire hose people and then they just mentally check out and they don't know what to do. And then they get paralysis because they're afraid they're going to make the wrong decision. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. So if you own a business and you're in sales, your job is to provide so much clarity on what is the next step, what's their problem, how are you going to provide a solution, what's the next problem, how are you going to provide a solution, and keep it so clean and clear. This is what I can do and this is how I can do it. This is what I can do and this is how I can do it.
The biggest challenge that I have, and I still have the challenge, it's been years. Kim keeps me on track with it, but it's still a problem for me, and that's knowing not to talk. So at a certain point, you've given enough information. They have all the information they need. So shut the fuck up.
It's interesting because here's the deal, and we'll get to a question here in just one second.
Two in there.
So the thing is that you can, in sales, you can talk so much that you actually can lose the sale. And what I mean by this, you talk yourself out of the sale, right? Or I've seen this happen too, where people talk so much and they give all the information away. The person's like, okay, well, what's going to stop me from going and doing it, right? Now, there's a fine line. So we give enough information away, but we also understand and know time is money and time is valuable, right? So those that want to go do it themselves, we're all about it. That's the reason why we offer DIY, so do it yourself, and we do it for you, right? There's two different services there. But at the end of the day, I learned this in my 20s, and by far it changed my entire life. It was the pregnant pause. So there's going to be that awkward, people need to connect the dots in their brain. And then whenever they're silent, all of a sudden their gears click and they figure out, yes, I want that. No, I don't. And at first it's super awkward. However, it's well worth it. Right. So, and you've done an excellent job over the years.
Getting better. You know, the other one is,
we have cues too. Like we'll like tap.
Kim does one of them. Stop.
Right. Like there's like these things, or I'll give him the look and he's like, oh shit, count down 3, 2, 1, gotta stop.
You'll see Kim's hands here, and the next they're under the table, and they're like, stop.
And like just stop having a conversation.
You know, and the other, it's either 5 or 6 words, whatever it is. You guys count it up, but it's being able to say, "Let me get back to you." Or let me get back to you on it. Taking that break away, and we have an advantage in our business from a sales end of things that a lot of our conversations happen on the phone or happen on video, but you don't have to have the answer at all times at your fingertips. Providing that little break in there, let me get back to you, that gives room to breathe. It allows that idea to to become something else.
And one other thing I'd add, and then we'll get into the other questions, is so here's the deal is sometimes what happens is when you're in a sales conversation, people will be like, okay, great. Can you just type that up into an email and send it to me? I don't do that a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is I'm just like, okay, what part did you not understand? Let me just go ahead and talk you through it right now and have you take notes. So you can for sure go and send an email and type all the stuff up and do a proposal and a quote. And depending on your industry, it might make sense. But in most cases, they're actually looking for an excuse or a reason to not purchase and not go the next level. So for me, I always redirect bull on the horn. What specific questions do you have right here, right now? Let's walk through it right here and right now to be able to make sure you have clarity. And I don't send a lot of emails. Like I'm sending one this morning, but I don't normally do that, right? Like it's a very special situation and circumstance. But in sales, it's always been, oh yes, go ahead and send an RFP or a proposal or send the details or send the bullet points. And I can't tell you when I first started, I used to do it all the time.
And we
wasted so much time in business for people that just, they weren't even interested in moving forward, right?
It's almost like somebody asking, do you have a business card? Because usually that business card just goes in their pocket.
I think we still have the original box of business cards when we very first started.
I've got a stack.
Okay, let's go ahead and answer some questions.
Okay, so she doesn't want me to show you. Anyway, so we had Rebecca. Rebecca was here. Hey, looks like she has a student, so she's out. So awesome tips. Great. We'll catch you on the replay. Loveline is in here, or Lindsay's here. Hey,
Lindsay.
Loveline is here. Can you offer some guidance on how you can continue? Sorry, my eyes are retarded.
Okay, so it says, can you offer some guidance on how you can continue focusing on marketing and connecting with your audience genuinely, offering support during times like these days? Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. It's multiple layers in that specific question. What I would say is, keep being you and keep doing you, right? So I personally know Loveline. We've worked with her quite a lot. She's amazing at what she does. I think in any business right now, well, let's start here. We have to realize we have some shifts happening. There is actually a universal law called impermanence, which means that everything is always changing. We are in the catalyst of that change. So to kind of go soul coaching and bring it back to business, right? There's going to be changes that are going to happen. And at the end of the day, us as business owners, us as marketing, and us as creatives, we really have to figure out what is it that we can control and what way can we inspire and influence our tribe, and at what way can we not microphone the noise of what's going on and what's happening, and instead redirect to where it comes back down to, what is it that you stand for? Where are you at? Or, I was talking to somebody last night and I was like, now out of ever, it's time to get your shit straight, right? And what I mean by that is, if you want to be a good person, be a good person. If you want to rock a business, rock a business. If you want to offer services that are very authentic and genuine, now's the time to do it, right? You actually asked yesterday, you were like, hey, is our business going to take a hit with everything that's going around? Mm-hmm. And I literally just immediately downloaded and I was like, no, but if you focus on it and if you constantly ask that question, it's going to turn into a yes, right? It's not to say that things externally are not being influenced. They for sure are. I'm not going to say that they're not, right? But at the end of the day, we can only control what we can control. And right now it's this and serving our clients. Right. When it comes to marketing, I would say keep doing what you're doing. Like if you see a fluke where sales are going down, figure out, is it really external? Have you been tracking? Have you been doing consistent actions? Have you been stepping forward? Have you been offering value and knowledge? There are still people out there investing and purchasing, and there's people out there that, like us, they see what's going on, but they're not engaging into the noise, if that makes sense.
And with all that said, know that like traffic on your website might go down because people may not be searching for what it is.
Or it might go up. We've seen in stats that if people stay home more and they lock themselves in more, babies are born, people shop a lot, they spend a lot of money, they'll go and do Amazon Prime because it's delivered to their doorstep. Like there's different stuff that, while yes, this part's going down, there's so much else that's just exploding. Like ebooks, sales for ebooks are going up, Audible ebooks are going up, YouTube viewers are higher. Like there's multiple different avenues that are actually exploding right right now with all the stuff that's going on. And it's not just focused around the epidemic that's happening,
So
right?
what I love about, and it's weird to say it this way, but what I love about what's going on right now is that you quickly find out what deserves to be a meeting and what can be handled by email.
Yeah, or video or whatever.
Or by video. You're right. Not everything has to be an in-person meeting. With the way technology is today, video is huge. And then emails, you know. So we're seeing some stuff where I've been asked, can you do a meeting at such a place? And now that's being shifted into, hey, can we have a phone call or can we have an email instead? So that's one benefit out of what's going on.
And I would say Loveline, if you're comfortable with it, guys, Loveline is an amazing artist that does multiple different stuff, from divine spirituality art to things that you can wear. She creates amazing frequency, right? She did, and she is offering a free coloring worksheet that has an affirmation that's high vibration. So if you're interested in it, she's offering it for free. So Loveline, if you're comfortable with it, drop that link or at least your Facebook post down in there. You do have to engage to say yes, you want to have it sent to you. And then she'll personally email it right directly to you guys. But Loveline, I would say continue being you. Like, you are definitely the stone in the ripple, and you're creating ripple after ripple after ripple. Just keep it doing. Keep the blinders on. And what I mean by that is don't bury the head in the sand and not pay attention to what's going on. Just everybody turn internal and be like, what is it that I can control? Like how I can control it is show up and do the projects that I was hired for. Continue to help serve people for more projects. Continue to help their businesses grow. Even now, like, this is, like, for me, I know it's geeky, but with so much moving and unknown, this is the fun time in marketing to figure out what's going to work next, right? Like, where are people and what are they doing and how are they doing it? So, so is there another question?
No, that's what I got.
Oh,
the
cool,
other one, we're not repeating the other one.
Oh, okay.
I've already killed it. It was a spammer who came in.
Oh no. Bless their hearts, little spammers. Okay, so Conor, like, what do you have that's exciting that's going on in your world right now? Because you have multiple different projects and all different scenarios, and I know you can't tell a whole lot, but
I've got a big project that I'm working on that I've been working on for several weeks.
Yeah.
And you've been working on it also. I'm stuck on a line of code. There's 124 lines. I've been stuck on it for longer than I want to admit. About 4 hours yesterday and 5 hours last night on a simple line of code. So that has occupied 100% of my time the last couple of days.
I don't know if 100% of the time is accurate. You have been rocking a lot of other projects.
There's other things
I was like, don't say 100% of Connor's time.
So
that's not accurate.
What I mean by it is that it has been on my brain.
Yeah.
It's been on my mind 100% of the time. Different scenarios playing out to try and figure out what this code is going to do.
Yeah.
But aside from that, the other stuff that's happening out there, of course, WordPress and WooCommerce and things like that. Both of them, WordPress and WooCommerce, both came out with a new update.
Yeah.
Don't upgrade yet.
Yeah.
The WooCommerce is a major update. Just don't update yet. Give it a week, let it settle down, and then we'll look at it. Handful of different plugins out there. One of them that I was using got revoked, but so we're working through to figure out what's happening there. Google stuff, nothing really happening. It's been fairly quiet. I got nothing. I did notice here as we were about to go live on Facebook, on the business page on Facebook, it now says fill out your frequently asked questions, and that's new. I hadn't seen that there before.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's
cool.
In my world about it.
Cool.
Other than I've got a blank wall back there, and that camera over there is pissing me off.
Yeah, it's good. We'll figure out the technology. It's kind of interesting. So if you guys have been following us a while, like, we've changed different technology in different scenarios, and from the law of manifestation, where do you focus? Where do you not focus? I'm just going to put it out there. So Conor wanted his own space so he can set up the equipment where it's always set up. So we could just sit down and go, right? But in doing this is episode what? 94, 95?
96.
96?
Yep.
So we've been doing this 96 videos, which we do probably weekly. If not, we'll skip a week from here and there and so forth. So it's been quite an amount, like over a year we've been doing these videos and almost on the threshold of 2 years, right? And so sometimes it rocks really easy and other times not. And so what happens for Conor is when technology starts to not do what it's supposed to, he kind of gets a little flustered. And so you guys got to think about this. Like this has happened again and again. He'll get flustered, he'll get flustered, he'll get flustered. Now we had the perfect environment. The equipment was actually working 2 minutes before we go live. Everything is working.
I set
and then
everything
all of
up.
a sudden all of a sudden his screen went blank, right?
Well, first thing happened, my mouse died.
Well, the first thing that happened is Conor blew the batteries in his mouse because from an energetic standpoint, he's very powerful and this is what happened. So then we changed the battery and then the thing went black and then like that didn't work and then the camera worked and then didn't work and then we've switched to webcam. But the reason why I'm sharing this is, guys, like what can happen is if we get into these habits where, well, first off, we have to realize how powerful we are, right? But then if we get in these habits where something doesn't go right and we build it up and then we start to just continue to build up, even if everything, all your ducks are in a row, there could be a chance that there's residue of something, some frustration, something that will seep in if you allow it to seep in. So hopefully we'll be able to cut cords with that here soon and get technology going where it goes.
It was working, I swear.
I know. Or we just make the best of it and kind of roll with it. And it's always cool to try different stuff. Because he got this equipment, this webcam, he got up just like that. So like the good news is he didn't forget where everything needed to be mounted and all that stuff.
So the bad news is that with the other camera, I had already adjusted the audio with a delay because we were off on our audio, which means that this display, we could be off on the audio. I don't know.
No, I think we're fine. So if you guys have any questions, whether it's business, marketing, just in general life, feel free to put it down in the comments. Happy to answer it. And in the meantime, let's see. So Conor, like, is there anything exciting that has been rumbles coming down of whether it's SEO or softwares? Like, I know you found that like last week we talked about on the episode, you found a software that can easily take a background off. Is there any other stuff that you've been doing searches on? I think there was like a video plugin that you're testing or...
I mean, there's video software that I'm testing, like vMix.
Yeah.
So right now we use OBS, which is Open Broadcast System software, Open Broadcaster software, OBS. Anyway, do a search on that. But we were looking, and I have tested vMix, which allows us to do a lot more, bring in additional cameras, adjust audio, having separate mics, things like that. Those are all things that I want to do. I want a separate microphone for me versus you because our volumes are
totally different.
Very different.
I try so hard to be quiet, y'all, and it just doesn't happen. Like I like the other day, like I had like it's been an intense couple of weeks of projects, right? And it's so good. I wouldn't have it any other way, right? In addition to life, Mr. Guinness, he's doing better. He's getting healed. But this week he had a couple days that were not his best days. And what I mean by that is he just gets restless and he doesn't want to sleep. So mama has been like little to no sleep the last 48 hours, right? But with all of that, like moving around, it's interesting to see like what works, what doesn't work, what do you work on, how do you go about it, where do you get the motivation, where do you get the inspiration, doing different stuff. And I finally came to you and I was like, okay, I've got to like figure out how do I automate certain stuff? How do I do certain stuff? So this week for me, for personal growth, I actually started creating scripts, or at least like, and I know people were always saying create scripts, but I was like, oh, I don't know. I want to be kind of authentic and genuine. Like I want, I want to do these, or even if it's processes, like we have our processes set out for us, but we've changed our processes so much that I finally came to them. I'm like, okay, from this point forward, the process is what? Like, how do we go about and do this thing, right?
So we have our own internal thing of when we get particular clients for certain jobs where it'll just be I just need this particular item fixed. Yeah. And it's always been, well, is this a project? Yeah.
This is like in our internal thing. It's like, is it a project? Is it a ticket? Is it a project? Is it a ticket?
And then is it does the billing go on a project, or was this a retainer that we might run over time, or there might be another set that happens, and therefore it should be a ticket and it bounces off of that. So we've been struggling with that for what, 2 years?
Oh, it's longer than 2. I think since we've been using the software. But so for us, from business wise, there's not very many projects or business that we do that it's not prepaid, right? When we first started the business, we got burnt hurt pretty bad by it. It was a lesson that we learned, and we're super, super grateful for that lesson because I learned it quick and I learned it fast, right? But with that being said, in our CRM, in our project management, all of our billing and our project and time tracking, all that stuff is synced into one, right? So what Conor says is we have the option to do a sale, which any system typically does, right? And then we have the option of, well, is it a project or is it a ticket? And then we can create an invoice in the project and we can bill after for the ticket. But since everything's prepaid, we don't do that route, right? So instead, there's another area that's called a retainer. So if somebody buys 10 hours of time with us, we typically create it as a retainer. So whether they have a project or they have multiple tickets, it's taken from the same bucket of time, if that makes sense.
Most people use a retainer that it's every month there'd be a certain fee. Like for our SEO services, that's on a retainer.
Or if it's like a one-time, like maybe they'll do 10 hours once a quarter or once every 6 months or 12 months, or they want time on the book. So when they have questions, we're available to respond immediately.
And if it's time on the books, then it's just it's one item in, and the expiration is set as unlimited. So there is no actual expiration and no renewal until the time starts to run out. But there's no way in our system to...
Bye, lovely, and have a good day.
Bye-bye. A lot of the systems that are out there, project management systems, they're all on a post-bill system. They're not on pre-bill. So it always creates an issue. So that's something that we deal with on a regular basis.
Right. So you said regular basis.
We even ran into it yesterday.
Yeah, we did. So the funny thing is like we are always asking, is it a project? Is it a ticket? Is it a project? Is it a ticket? And then in there for a while, I told Conor, I was like, on his tombstone, I'm going to put, where's my notes? Because he always loses his notes. But then last week, he actually typed his notes up and sent them to me via email, which worked really, really great. Hey, how are you? So if you have any questions at all, feel free to post them below. We're going to give it about 3 or 4 more minutes and answer on the fly and figure out what's going on. And in the meantime, I think Conor's wanting some sunshine today. He got some yesterday.
Yeah, got a little sun yesterday. So we're supposed to get snow tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's like 40 degrees outside right now. So gotta get outside.
Well, we had like rain, sleet, and then we had our roof replaced like this last weekend. It's kind of interesting stuff going on right now.
Yeah, none of it related to business. But
well, it is though, because we've bobbed and weaved. So we've always had an office space since we very started the business, right? It's a matter of, was it a storefront? Was it suites within a building? What and not? So we have 2 suites in this building now. Our last place, we had 2 suites as well. But the cool thing about how we run our business, we can actually do it virtual anywhere that we want, right? So a lot of times when we travel, we're actually working on like while we're traveling and so forth, unless we need a full disconnect. And we've done that before. Like when we went to the Dominican Republic, yes, we had access to emails and so forth, but we didn't work a whole lot. And a lot of our clients and projects knew that.
Right.
But Yep. Well, hey, thank you.
Before you go, Kim got a haircut.
I did. I if they can tell, I she-hawked it. I she-hawked it. So instead of a mohawk, I call it a she-hawk. I'd been thinking about it for a while. I was like, I don't know. And then like last night I was like, done, like, let's go. And I always, side note, I always go to the guy store place. So I remember that whenever I very first went and got my head shaved down. It's called Lady Jane's here locally. The gals are fantastic. But at first, like, there was some new gals that were there one time whenever I went, and they were like, I don't know if we serve women. And I'm like, can we just get rid of the whole, like, who's in a category where? Because I was personally going there because they have experience in short hair versus long hair, right?
Right.
Because if you get somebody that does not have experience in short hair, you can have a problem.
But you went down to my barber one time, right?
No, I didn't. His barber's so busy and so booked out. I'm one of those, I don't like to be possessed. And what I mean by that is I also like to go to different people and different things. So like, I like, if I want it, I book it. And if I have to wait, cool. Or if I have to wait 24 to 48 hours, that's cool too. I'm fine with that. So if they're super busy, but I like to be able to just do stuff on the fly. I'm like, I don't want to go get my hair cut every 3rd Thursday of the month. Right. I'm just like, what do I want to do today? Okay. I'll go do that. Like, it's just a little personal data.
The same with SEO.
Yeah. Right. No, I have the task. I have here's my time block. This is what I'm working on. This is how I do it. That's how I run the business. Yeah.
From your end, yes.
Yeah.
But from my end, not everything has to be done in a particular order.
Yeah.
Things can be done a little bit
So
differently.
I'll give Connor a list because I'm the project manager. I'll give him a list and I'll put it in priority order, 1 through 4 or 1 through 5. And then like I've just learned over the years to just give him flexibility because he'll go every time and go do fucking number 4 first and then number 2 and number 3. So I tell him like if it's like a deadline, like this has to be number 1 no matter what, then usually he'll honor it. But if not, he likes to pick and move and shift and change.
And a lot of that comes from my web hosting days. So when I ran the web hosting company and we had our ticket system, one of the things, I wouldn't say it was a required rule, but if you've got 15 tickets in there and 2 of them are going to require a half hour, an hour of investigation, and the other ones might only be 5 or 6 minute responses.
Right.
Do those 5, 6 minute responses. Keep 11 people happy and 1 person pissed off. Yeah. Rather than 12 people while you take care of 1.
Right.
So, and that was kind of my thinking. Now, when we expanded our team for the hosting, then it became oldest ticket is first. And if somebody replies, then that ticket now became new again. So therefore, it's oldest first.
And I would just say from a business perspective, like if you're a ticket system, that strategy actually works quite well. They were very successful in that. But I would say in business in general, if you have a list, figure out what the priority is. And if you keep avoiding a specific task, that task probably needs to be number 1 for you because either you're in resistance or you're in hesitation or you feel like it's going to take a whole lot of time. And it's not to say that it won't take a lot of time, but you need to make sure you don't get into avoidance whenever you're running a business. So just figure it out, do it, discern, get into your end select. It's not about likes and dislikes. If it's on the list, get it done, move, proceed.
I am not avoiding the code from last night.
No, you were knee deep in it again last night. So in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for tuning in either the live or the replay. Love to be able to pop in here. We will actually be doing another Ask Us Anything probably in April/May, not too sure yet. But we will be here next Friday. We'll try to get the subject up a little bit earlier in the week. We need to ping off of each other and figure out what way we want to do that.
And we'll try to get the other camera working.
Get the other camera working. And if not, you guys just get us on this webcam. So we'll tune in. We might just be a little bit late, but you guys can always tune in on the replay, right? So thank you so much for tuning in and have a great weekend. And we will chat soon.
St. Patrick's is coming up. So happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. And that's why he picked the picture. Yeah.
That is. Yeah. That is.
Cool. Thanks so much, guys. Chat later.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.